He walked into the courtroom with a smug smile on his face, the kind of expression that instantly caught the attention of everyone watching. His posture screamed confidence, maybe even arrogance, as if he already knew the outcome of the case. To him, this wasn't a trial, it was a formality, a small bump in the road. In his mind, he was untouchable, and the judge would surely go easy on him. But the courtroom has a way of humbling even the most self-assured defendants. And on this day, his smug attitude would come face to face with reality, and the verdict would hit harder than he ever imagined. The atmosphere was tense from the start. On one side sat the prosecution, ready to outline the facts with precision. On the other sat the defense, whispering reassurances to the defendant, who leaned back in his chair as though he didn't have a care in the world. Behind him, the gallery filled with spectators, family members, reporters, and citizens curious to see justice unfold. All eyes were on the defendant, and he seemed to enjoy it. He smirked, tapped his fingers, and even chuckled at a few comments. But that smugness would soon vanish. The prosecutor stood and delivered a powerful opening statement. With calm authority, they laid out the seriousness of the crime, the weight of the evidence, and the impact on the victims. Every word was chosen carefully, painting the defendant not as a misunderstood young man, but as someone who had made choices that carried real consequences. The courtroom fell silent as the prosecutor reminded the judge that arrogance in the face of the law is dangerous. Justice, they argued, required a strong response. And yet the defendant barely flinched. He rolled his eyes, smirked again, and leaned back in his chair, as if the entire process was beneath him. His body language screamed disrespect, not just for the prosecutor, but for the victims, the system, and the very court he stood in. To him, it was all a game, and he believed he was winning. Then came the defense. His lawyer painted a different picture. They described him as someone young, misguided, incapable of redemption. They spoke of his background, his struggles, and his potential. They begged the court for leniency, insisting that prison would do more harm than good. And for a moment, some in the gallery might have believed it. After all, many defendants walk away with lighter sentences when remorse and rehabilitation are on the table. But there was one problem: the defendant himself. As his lawyer spoke passionately about his supposed remorse, the smug grin never left his face. He laughed quietly, exchanged knowing looks with someone in the gallery, and shook his head as if none of it mattered. It was a display of arrogance so bold that even the judge couldn't ignore it. When the defense finished, the courtroom grew still. All eyes turned to the judge, who sat quietly, hands folded, studying the defendant with a look that pierced through his false confidence. And then the judge spoke. The voice was calm, steady, but carried the weight of authority. The judge began by acknowledging the arguments made by both sides. He recognized the defense's plea for leniency, but quickly reminded everyone that the courtroom is not a place for games or arrogance. He looked directly at the defendant and told him that actions have consequences, and that his behavior in court reflected a complete lack of respect for the law. The smirk on the defendant's face began to fade. Then came the verdict. With a firm, unwavering tone, the judge delivered the sentence. It wasn't probation. It wasn't a light punishment. It was a verdict so heavy, so final, that the entire courtroom seemed to gasp in unison. The defendant's smugness vanished instantly, replaced by shock. His mouth dropped slightly, his eyes widened, and for the first time that day, he realized just how badly he had underestimated the power of the court. The gallery erupted in whispers. Some shook their heads, others nodded in approval. The defendant's family sat frozen, unable to believe what they had just heard. Meanwhile, the bailiffs prepared to escort him out, his confidence now gone, his future rewritten in the space of a single sentence.